y'all, my name is Serena and this is Serena's Art Adventures. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for joining me today. As you may already know, we're going to do a little bit of a yarn and pattern review today. So I'm going to give you a review of the yarn that I bought at Louisville Fiber Supply, and I'm also going to give you a little bit of a review on the patterns that I'm using as well. So it's a little bit of a twofer, pattern reviews and yarn reviews today. So hopefully you enjoy this format. I really wanted to share it all in one. So I have right beside me here the yarn that I got from Louisville Fiber Supply. I kept one skein as intact as I was able to, and the other skein has been worked up on this Sirdar Jewelspun yarn that is an Aran weight yarn. This yarn works up so beautifully. The colorway on this yarn is just phenomenal. I really had a hard time not breaking into the second skein to continue crocheting this shirt. I am using a pattern for this shirt. I will go ahead and share the pattern with you here, but it's in a Kindle Unlimited book. This is the cover of the book. The book is called Crochet Tops, and this is a picture of the pattern from inside the book. This pattern is called the Lindsay blouse. So if you have Kindle Unlimited, like if you happen to have it, it might just be a free pattern, or you can just buy the book. But there are a ton of cute patterns in this book. I am really excited to finish it. I have been trying it on as I go, and it's been fitting really well. I just have a little bit more length, and then the bottom stitches has a little bit of like a V to it as well. But it's a super simple pattern, but with this yarn, instead of it looking like a super simple pattern, it looks a little more complex because the yarn really elevates the pattern. This yarn is available on the website for Sirdar. I'm going to go ahead and share with you in the description below a link to a Canva document where you can purchase all of these different yarns. Now, this yarn specifically is the only yarn that you can buy directly from their website. I do believe on their website it's $16.50 per skein. I'll correct myself if I'm a little off there, but I think in stores when you buy this it's about $20 per skein, but I do believe on the website you also have to pay shipping. So that's probably pretty similar, $20 per skein for this in the shop or $16.50 with shipping. It probably works out pretty evenly. But I really like this yarn because it gives kind of what like the Noro yarn is trying to give, but in such a more affordable way, right? This is a much bigger skein for a much better price than what you can get a yarn like the Noro yarn. So I really did want to try this. I saw this worked up by Taylo Yarn Crafts in a review video, and then I walked into the store and saw it and I was like, oh, I have to try it. And I'm really glad I did. Taylo Yarn Crafts did give a good review on this yarn, and I've got to say I 100% agree with her. When you're crocheting with this yarn, because of its roving style that they spun the yarn with, it doesn't tangle or catch or split or anything like that because it's like more of like a roving style yarn. So because it is that way, you are going to have a little bit of variation of thickness, and you might be able to see it a little bit here. The variation of thickness that you get in this yarn isn't quite as dramatic as some of the other roving style yarns that I've used before, but the way that this color palette works up is absolutely beautiful. Now I want to try so many other colorways. Now, in my opinion, if you use a very simple pattern and then a colorway like this that does a lot of like, it's not even self-striping, it's just random color changing, I feel like that elevates the pattern and makes it look a lot more sophisticated and a little bit more complicated when in reality it's actually a super simple design. So I'm gonna give the pattern, this pattern is a 10 out of 10 for me. I don't do that very often, especially not with clothing, but how easy this pattern is to read, I highly appreciate that. I have had some patterns recently that I've tried to work up and follow that have been a little bit harder to read. Maybe the way that they write it or the way that they try to make directions is difficult, but this uses a top-down technique. So you start like your chain is here. So you're starting on the inside yoke and then you just work your way down. And so it's actually very, very simple. So this type of construction is a type of garment construction that I love working up. I have worked up other top-down pieces before, and it always is so much more simple than doing like a front panel and a back panel and sewing them together, which is what I did on the tank top that I'm wearing here. I actually like this better because once I'm done crocheting, I just weave in my ends and my garment is completely done. I don't have to single crochet them together or stitch them together or sew them together or anything like that. So I really like this type of construction. So I'm giving this pattern a 10 out of 10. For this yarn, you know what? I love this yarn too. Like, this is probably one of my favorite garment pieces that I've made. It's one of my favorite yarns that I've used in a long time. So the yarn is getting a 10 out of 10 and the pattern is getting a 10 out of 10. This yarn is about a 4-weight yarn, and it does have a little bit of variety in the size throughout, as I was explaining earlier. But yeah, this is one of the only yarns that you can buy online directly from the website for about $16.50, or you can sometimes find it in local yarn shops as well. So I'm super glad the local yarn shop I went to had this, because I probably would not have ordered it online. I've been trying to go on yarn bands and not order a lot of yarn. So the only reason I ended up getting it is because it was in a local yarn shop, and now it's one of the yarns that I want to buy more of as soon as I can clean up the remainder of my yarn stash. Here is a screenshot of the yarn facts that I found on their website that might help you make a more informed decision on this yarn. The second yarn that I'm going to pull out here is a much more expensive yarn. This is Noro yarn. When you go to Noro Yarn's website and you choose the one that you want, so for example, I went to the Natsumeki and I was looking at the buying options. Basically, it shows you where it's sold throughout the world. So it has different countries, and then in the United States, different states, and the shops that sell them in those different states. So you can go to a shop's website, if they have a website, like a local yarn store has a website, and you can buy this yarn, like this specialty yarn, off of a small shop's website and have it delivered to you if you have to order it online. Here is a quick screenshot for an example of how it displays on their site. If you can't get it in a local yarn shop, maybe you're not close to a local yarn shop, or the local yarn shop near you doesn't have this and you're interested in it, that definitely is a way that you can get this yarn. Now, with this yarn right here, I am not as impressed with this. I was very excited to work with this yarn because I've been wanting to do garments, and this is a lighter weight yarn, right? This 4-weight yarn and even this 3-weight yarn shirt that I'm wearing right now, it does still get a little hot in the summer when you have something this thick. So I really was excited to work with this yarn, but with the Noro yarn, what I've noticed when I was working it up with crochet, it kept curling up on me, and as I was crocheting on it, the curl would get tighter and tighter, and it was just not working out well for me. Now, I want to give a little bit of yarn education here because I recently actually watched a video that explained that there's different twists on yarn. There's an S twist and there's a Z twist on yarn. And the S twist, I believe, is the one that's the most popular. And when you have an S twist yarn, it's made for like right-handed knitters, which actually makes it to where the yarn will split a lot more when you're like a right-handed crocheter. If you're a left-handed crocheter though, that S twist yarn is good for you. And then the Z twist yarn is made for a left-handed knitter or a right-handed crocheter, right? So that's the thing that I learned about yarn recently, and I do believe I learned that one on Elise Rose Crochet's channel. Very informative. It was very helpful for me to understand why this yarn wasn't working for me, and so I thought I'd share that bit of information with you as well. But this specific swatch I worked up, it's a very small swatch. I'm not very good at knitting. I don't knit very often, but I was trying like the regular knitting style on the bottom and it was looking really good. So I got really confident and I tried to do continental knitting, and then I ended up twisting my stitches. So I went back to like a regular knitting style, and somehow my gauge got like, it got really loose up here, even though I was using the same size needle. I'm not quite sure what's happening with this swatch. So this swatch probably isn't the best example in the world, but I was working up this swatch and I noticed that when you're knitting with it, it doesn't do the twist. It's actually kind of untwisting itself as I knit with this because I am a right-handed knitter and a right-handed crocheter. What I noticed is this actually does work up a beautiful piece of knit fabric. So what I would say is if you plan on getting this specific yarn from Noro, the Natsumeki yarn, it is a 60% cotton, 25% silk, and 15% polyamide. If you're planning on getting this yarn, I would highly suggest you plan on knitting something with it, because while I was trying to crochet with it, it was not near as soft, and I had a lot of issues with the yarn winding up on me, and it just wasn't an enjoyable crochet experience. I now understand why when I went to Noro's website, a lot of the patterns that they had were knit patterns. I was like, well, I'm not much of a knitter. I don't knit very often, but I want to learn to knit, so I'll go ahead and try this yarn, and if worse comes to worse, I'll knit with it. So while I love this yarn when it's knitted, it makes a beautiful colorway when it's knitted. It's very soft, and I really like this as a knitted fabric. I would not recommend this for a crocheter. So as far as like for crochet is concerned, it's not the worst yarn that I've ever crocheted with, but it's close. So I'm going to give it like a 2 out of 10. Okay, as far as for crocheters. Now for knitters, this yarn doesn't split when you're trying to knit with it, which is great. I've knit before and I've used a yarn that splits really easily, and then I can't find my stitches, and sometimes my tension's too tight. Anyway, when my tension was tight or when my tension was loose, I was able to have a enjoyable knit experience. So even though this swatch looks a little wonky, I can say that the experience of knitting with this was a lot more enjoyable than the experience crocheting with this. So for knit, I do think it's a 10 out of 10. I do now understand why people love Noro yarn so much. It is a wonderful thing to knit with. And if you're going to knit, the yarn is going to go a lot further. So it's going to justify the price a little bit more too, because this is $45 per skein, and each skein has about 525 yards in it, I do believe, give or take a little bit. But you're going to get a lot further with this yarn with a knit piece than you are with a crocheted piece. So I would say 9 out of 10 for knitting and a 2 out of 10 for crochet. Okay. Now I do want to share with you the pattern that I was trying to crochet with. I want to say the pattern was easy to read, but I only made it a little bit into the pattern. I got this pattern from the Yarnspirations website, so it is another free pattern. We love a free pattern. It is a super cute pattern, but I was only able to make it so far before I decided to frog it. And when I say so far, I mean like literally into round 2. However, Yarnspirations has great patterns. I followed their patterns before. They're typically fairly easy to follow. I do kind of wish that Yarnspirations did more of a shorthand pattern than what they do. They do write out a lot of the explanation of how to make something more than I would like personally, but that probably is helpful to people who are a little bit newer to the craft. So I would say that this pattern is something I would highly suggest, especially with summer being around the corner. This is going to be a nice, lightweight type of pattern for you to use, because it also uses, like, I do believe a 2-weight yarn or something like that. I highly suggest you check out this pattern if you are interested in it. I'm going to give the pattern, since I didn't work it up fully and I can't fully give it the best review, I'm just going to say like an 8 out of 10, because so far the experience that I had was really good and I didn't see any problems with the pattern. But to give the benefit of the doubt that it might not be the best pattern out there ever, we'll just say it's probably like an 8 out of 10. I still need to find a pattern for this Noro yarn that's a knitted pattern. I want an easy pattern, and I really want a summer tank top. I only have 2 skeins. So if you are one of my knitting friends out there who maybe crochets and knits, or just knits and watches crochet content, and you're interested and you want to share a pattern with me that you think that I can follow along, please let me know in the comments below. Also, another thing I was looking for is a really good and easy knit tank top tutorial for beginners. So I might end up going in that direction for this as well. But I do want to find something in my size. Some of the ones I was finding, they were like extra small, and clearly I'm not a size extra small. So that one wasn't going to work for me. And I just want to be able to follow something fairly easily and know that it's going to fit me. So if you have any great recommendations for me, I would love to hear them in the comments below. But I really do like this yarn. I really do like this yarn company. The way that these colors are woven together is beautiful, but I can definitely say the person at the Louisville fiber supply company that had purchased this recently to add to her stock, said that she bought it because it's a little bit more of an affordable yarn than the Noro, but it has a lot of similarities to the Noro. And I've got to say I agree with that, because as I look at the colorway in the Noro and I see how unique and different this yarn is and how the different colors really blend together throughout the whole skein, this does have a similar effect to that. So if you're looking for a little bit more of an affordable yarn option than this Noro yarn, this Sirdar yarn is a great option. Like this Jewelspun Sirdar yarn specifically. Any of the spun yarn, probably. I think they have a couple other Jewelspun that's not an Aran weight, like different weights of this Jewelspun yarn. So if you're interested in this, I would definitely take a look at it for affordability. But as far as the material is concerned, this is more of an acrylic yarn. That's why it's so affordable. And then this one is obviously like it's silk and polyamide. What's the other fabric? Let's see. It's cotton, silk, and polyamide. So this is done using more sustainable materials, and I do believe Noro is just a company that also like is a good quality company. I think they're based out of Japan. While I had an idea for this yarn when I first bought it, unfortunately I wasn't able to use it for that. But the good thing is I guess I'll be able to increase my knitting skills because I'm gonna need to use this for knitting. So anyways, that's the Noro yarn. And lastly, I kept a skein of each color of this yarn here that I got. Does anybody else like put their crochet hooks with their projects and like crochet hooks are just everywhere? Because that's me. So this yarn right here, this is what I'm working up. I did post this in a short already because I was so highly impressed with this yarn. I posted about this yarn recently and I was like, oh my gosh, this yarn is amazing. Go buy it if you want it before I buy it all because it's that amazing. But I have the pattern that I'm working up that I'll go ahead and share on the screen. But basically it's like going to be a little pleated skirt, and so it has you like bunch it up at the top, and then it has like a pleated flowy look to it. So this was a paid for pattern, and while I don't always like to pay for individual patterns, especially since I found so many books with like clothing and amigurumi on Kindle Unlimited and stuff, I do have a hard time sometimes paying for single individual patterns, but this one was definitely worth it to me. It's more unique than anything else that I've seen personally, but I really like the halo effect that this has on it. I don't know if you can see it too much there. I know you can see it fairly well in the skein. This is a 4-weight yarn and it's by Juniper Moon Farm. This, similar to Noro, when you go to Juniper Moon Farm and you select this yarn and you look at it for the buying options, you have to go to the bottom of the page and find where they sell it in your state. For me personally, there are some states that I'm in on a frequent basis, and the states that I'm in on a frequent basis didn't have it. So I went a couple hours away, there's a store, and I went and I selected that one and I went to their website and I tried to purchase it on their website for shipping, and I was able to do it that way. So if you also don't have a store near you where you can buy it, you can go to the small yarn store near you that sells it, go to their website, buy it there and have it shipped to you. That's another option for this one as well. But I do like that they do at least share with you the yarn stores that carry their patterns, so you can just go on their website and see if a yarn store near you does sell this. Now this is $20 per skein. This is actually more expensive than this one because if you look at the size difference here, this has about twice the yarn in it, about 520 something like that yards. And in this skein, you're getting 229. In this skein, you have 229 yards and it's $20. So you can see like the clear price difference. This one is double the cost. It's the same weight of yarn, but you have to spend twice as much for a similar amount. But this one right here is like a chain knit on the inside. Like it's, you might have to kind of get a very good close up of the yarn to kind of see what I'm trying to show you. But this is really nice. It has a beautiful halo effect, and because of the way that this internal structure of the yarn is, it doesn't catch on your hook when you're trying to crochet with it. It doesn't twist on you. It's a beautiful crochet experience. So if I could choose, and like money wasn't an option, which yarn to use on a regular basis, I personally would choose this one. I love this one for like the halo effect and how easy it is. This is one of them that I would choose, but also this one, because acrylic yarns are also easier to wash and stuff like that. This one is a cotton and merino, so this one's going to be more of like a hand wash item, and that's really difficult for me since I'm a truck driver and on the road 90% of the time. This is going to have to stay home, and when I do wear it, I'm going to have to hand wash it, and it's going to be a little bit of a pain. But even with that pain of having to like hand wash with this yarn, I would still rate this yarn a 10 out of 10. The crochet experience is lovely. The price point is decent. The construction of the yarn just makes it so worth the crochet experience. It's worth it. So yeah, that's how I feel about this yarn. And as far as the pattern goes that I'm using, this pattern is super easy to follow. And I haven't gotten to the actual assembly of the skirt at the end, but so far I have to say the way that the pattern has been written, I've been easily able to follow it. So I'm just going to give the pattern a 10 out of 10 also. So I really like the pattern and the yarn on this one. So both of these have a 10 out of 10. I'm struggling a little bit more with the Noro yarn, which is insane because the Noro yarn was $45 a skein, and this yarn was $20 per skein, or around about that price. So it's kind of funny that the cheaper yarn is the one that I appreciated the most. But I just wanted to share with you guys a little bit of my opinion on these different yarns and the patterns that I'm using, and do a little bit more of an in-depth review for you guys rather than just the short form content that I'm sharing, to give you guys a little bit of an idea of what direction I was taking with all of these different projects that I'm working on. I'm having such a fun time working on these two patterns, and now that I have recorded and shown you guys what these yarns look like in their skein, I can finally break them open and finish working these up. I don't know which one I'm going to finish first, but I will make sure that I share it as soon as I'm able to. Sometimes it's hard for me to find time or a place to film a short because I get so busy. I still haven't even shown this completed top on my short forms either, so I still need to do that, but it's a busy world and sometimes it's hard to fit everything in, and other times I'm like, oh, I have plenty of time to fit this in. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and my review of these different yarns. Let me know in the comments below if you've tried any of these yarns, if you agree with my rating on these yarns, or if you would try these yarns. Let me know what your favorite yarns are as well in the comments below. I would love to know. I just want to say, if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for joining me. If you don't mind hitting the like button, sharing this video with anybody who you think might like it, and subscribing to the channel for more content like this, I would highly appreciate it. And if you want to be notified every time I post a new video, please feel free to hit the notification icon as well. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.